Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there, too. Don't forget to give the gift of Bitcoin, not flowers that will wither and die in a couple of days. Anyway, I forgot to add the give the gift of Bitcoin slide, but that's okay. Very early today, very low on coffee, but there's a lot to talk about. We have so much news that just happened over the last couple of hours. We'll talk about some on-chain stuff, some charts, how Bitcoin's steady, how ETFs are in the red, but it doesn't matter. You know, sometimes the ETFs take in a ton of money and then price doesn't go up. Sometimes the ETFs dump a ton of money, price goes up. It's weird. Anyway, how JPM are still salty, a little bit of Tether FUD that has everybody up in arms. We'll talk about a little bit of GameStop, but not from the perspective that you'd imagine. How TradFi is coming fit, fast, and furious into the crypto space, and how markets are going to 24 hours as well, with some stunning turnarounds. And also a legend, one of the people that I really look up to, has built some bags, two very interesting positions. We'll talk a little bit about AI and so much more. Friday, fire. Let's go. And disclaimer, not financial advice, just a guy on the internet. And shout out to the team behind me. Dollars with Diana. James, us ladies are joining your Patreon. Woohoo! Excellent. It's wonderful. And we've got already the best women in the world, including T&D Tesla here in the mods. And shout out to Sean Donnelly as well. And everybody for coming. First of all, let's look at the fear and greed and where we are this week. You can see we're at 48. Does that kind of neutral zone? Nobody's really too freaked out. Everything's kind of cool. In the stock market, we are also neutral. It's very rare that these two are neutral at the same time. So shout out to the fear and greed across the entire spectrum. And remember, if you need to be a well-rounded investor, you need to play all sides, not just one or the other. Mix it up. Now, let's look at the first chart of the day. This is the short-term holder sell-side risk ratio. And we know from history, every time the SSRR is down at this level, okay, it means the market, which means Bitcoin, is ready for the next big move. And this happens like clockwork. Shout out to James Check from Check on Chain. This is his chart, and it's brilliant. Everybody, short-term holders have reached their equilibrium, and next we go up. It's always the longest amount of consolidation there is. The longer it stays flat, the longer it consolidates, the bigger the pump. It's coming. Pretty sure it's coming. Now, I have a version of the world to back that up. I'm not going to show my top and bottom indicator. I'm going to show something different. This is the 200-week moving average on Bitcoin and where we are. Now, normally, the Bitcoin price stays above the 200-week moving average. That did not happen in 2022 when we broke through it for the first time in history. Remember, 200 weeks is basically 4 years. It's a 4-year moving average chart. And it's been a very good indicator for Bitcoin. But what is different this time is normally in the past cycles, you can see 2017, 2018, massive deviation from the 200-week. Then we have 2021, massive deviation from the 200-week. And here we are in the current cycle. No massive deviation. No overheating per se. There's no lime or green or yellow color, never mind red. So the asset itself, as it gets larger, it becomes less volatile. We'll talk more about volatility in a minute and how important that is. But this shows maybe Bitcoin is becoming less volatile, or we probably have a long way to go. Either or will be right. One or the other. We'll see. We'll get back to volatility in a minute. And Bitcoin States hit 29. As I told you, once you get above 25, it becomes dominoes falling fast. Literally, those other states, I'd be very uncomfortable now if I was Washington State, California. The others, I don't really remember what they are. But all the big players are coming in. And once they start allocating, these states alone literally can more than suck up the entire Bitcoin supply that's available for sale. And that's on top of IBIT, BlackRock. That's on top of Michael Saylor and all the other players that are coming. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Very excited. Now, the ETFs did have 4 red days in a row, which is pretty commonplace. But we had a very strong January and Feb so far until 10th of Feb. Dropped 186 million. Then 11th, 56 million. 12th, 251 million. And then 13th, 183 million. Will they buy today? Odds are yes. That normally happens. And it's funny, the really good thing that gives me tremendous comfort is the fact that all this dumping since the 10th of Feb, let me try to get this 5-day chart on Bitcoin right. Literally, the price has been constant. It's been flat. No down, no up, despite the ETF selling. That's a big positive one. But mainstream media would not be mainstream media if they didn't lie and fud us to death all the time. Remember, do not watch mainstream media. Do not listen, especially not to players like JP Morgan. JP Morgan have been salty on Bitcoin for a decade now. They do not like it. And they will do anything they can to shake the price down to prove that they're right. You know, sometimes you have a thing called most hated assets, and I tend to be in the most hated assets because maybe they're hated because a lot of people miss the trains and they become very salty. But this is the latest FUD hit piece. Tether may need to sell Bitcoin to meet proposed US stablecoin rules, says JP Morgan. And last I recall, Tether have about 65,000 Bitcoin. But I was fortunate enough to bump into some of the Tether team not too long ago, late 2024. They know what Bitcoin is. I wouldn't call them maxis per se, but they understand how important it is to allocate their profits from Tether into a hard asset. Tether represents a soft, infinitely printed asset. And they take their profits from the treasuries on that and stick it into Bitcoin. It's, again, yet another infinite money glitch. Speaking of infinite money glitches, this is the latest thing of news to hit the world. GameStop Corporation popped up in extended hours last night because there's a report that the company is weighing Bitcoin investment, citing, I think it was CNBC that posted this, as a video game retailer that is dying, of course, like all retailers. That's just the nature of the business. But they do have a lot of cash on their balance sheet, and they need to know what to do with it. And I think there was, and I covered this on either Sunday or Monday earlier this week, because there was a picture of Michael Saylor and Ryan Cohen, I think is his name, the CEO of GameStop. They were together. You think they were talking about golf or boats or video games? No. They were talking about the Saylor playbook, MicroStrategy, Bitcoin playbook, Bitcoin treasuries, whatever you want to call it. They were talking about that. GameStop needs to reinvent themselves. They're not going to be able to create NFTs or meme coins or build more stores or sell online. Dead. What they can do is take all their cash and stick it into Bitcoin. So watch this space carefully. That would be a big one because I think they have somewhere between, well, it's in the billions of dollars anyway. Now, in other news too, if it couldn't get any better, I'm going to talk a little bit about TradFi. Now, TradFi wants crypto. Excuse my typo on the crypto. But TINA means there is no alternative. And MasterCard has now tokenized 30% of its transactions in 2024 and acknowledged stable coins' potential to disrupt traditional finance. There we go. Two monster TradFi players in the TradFi world that manage payments, MasterCard and Visa. Payments is one of the biggest use cases for crypto. And they're coming. And they're coming fit, fast, and furious. But not just them. Schwab just assigned a new head of digital assets crypto, and they are now looking to get into crypto opportunities. Schwab ran about $4.5 trillion worth of money. And remember, once they get into something, they embrace it just like BlackRock did, and they will push it to all their customers. Yes, they're not as big as BlackRock, but they're also very large. 4.5 trillion is a lot of money. Now, in other TradFi news too, Robinhood, this is quite an amazing chart. And back in the day, I was in a lot of fintech. It's not a category I invest in now, but I do remember watching this puppy for years at the $3 to $4 range. And boy, it's just shot up to $64. Anyway, that is a crazy turnaround. And remember as well, as an investor, you can't catch them all. There's always so much alpha out there, but you got to be very selective, and you got to always balance risk and reward. And after getting out of things like Square and PayPal years ago, I thought about getting into this, and I said, I'm just going to focus on AI and crypto. That was it. And I'm very disciplined around that. So I left this narrative on the table. But check this out for results. Robinhood, why has it gone ballistic? Well, they've 31x'd their earnings in just 1 year, from $30 million to $916 million. And one of the reasons they're so impressive, and that should be revenue, not net income, my bad. But one of the reasons they're so impressive is the user experience is incredible. And I do use this platform. And I found it incredibly good for fills, for spreads, for moving large amounts, trading, rotating, pair trading. It embarrasses the Fidelities and the Schwabs of the world, in fairness. Now, Robinhood also are a big crypto player. That's why we talk about them. But they are bringing new things to the market as well. Index trading options available in Robinhood Legend, which I have. Crypto trading is available in Robinhood Legend. And they're bringing in index option futures that will run 24/7. But not just Robinhood. Markets are going 24/7. Shout out to GD. Schwab is now looking for ways where you can trade equities around the clock, just like Robinhood, 24/5, not 24/7. Of course, weekends are off for TradFi, but you'll be able to trade things like TLT, which is Bond, Amazon, QQQ, NVIDIA. I wonder why MicroStrategy is not there, or IBIT. Then it would be fun to play. But remember, the markets are going 24/7, 7 days a week, just like crypto. They have to evolve or die. And that's what's coming, which will be fun for us, which means we'll get even less sleep. Anyway, speaking of tokenization of everything, Deutsche Bank is coming in with Taurus HQ, and they are going to be tokenizing stuff as well, so they can run 24/7 like the rest of the world. And they will be tokenizing, of course, on Solana, not Ethereum. And speaking of Solana too, 4 tiny Telegram bots now make more in fees than ETH. And of course, they run on Solana too. Crazy, crazy to see how this happens. Amazing. Just 4 tiny little players. We don't even need to talk about the big chain stuff, but all the stuff that's been built on Solana is insane. Insane. Zeno, happy Friday, my friend. Let's get back to the news. Now, cool chart. Now, we know Solana, not in the last 365 days, but in the last 2 years, it's been incredible when it came off the bottom. But even if we just look at a point of time of this from CryptoQuant, not my chart, it's theirs. But the last 365 days tells a very interesting picture. Yes, Bitcoin won the last year, up 89.6%. Solana up only 68.7%. And technically, if you go back to, say, March, it's chop solidated sideways since then. But that's just the nature of the beast. Again, the longer the chop, the bigger the pump. That's how it works. But sadly, Ethereum is actually down 1.1% over the last year in a raging bull market, because everybody now realizes what we did years ago, that there is an ETH killer in town. We know what the name is. Now, let's switch gears and talk a bit about disruption and AI. This is a cool story. This is from Tesla app updates. The very first lines of Tesla code are here, and the first endpoint implemented is a feedback screen that allows users to rate the cleanliness of the vehicle and upload photos. This is kind of rides feedback of more of the app features that will be on the Cybercab, which is coming. And also, this is from Big Tesla, a prediction: there will be 12 million Tesla-owned robotaxis, making at least $100 a day. At least, that's super sandbagged, $35,000 a year net profit, which means 420 billion times a PE of 35, because this will grow very fast, is a $14.7 trillion market cap. And that does not include Tesla Bot and Energy. Whoever Big Tesla is, I love you. Your logic is so on point. You don't need to go through a whole bunch of Monte Carlo simulations to see how big this is going to be. It's going to be huge. It's coming in June, which is crazy. And we are so ready for it. If anybody knows that movie, it's kind of funny. Anyway, and people say Tesla demand is dead. EV demand is dead. Yes, it's a hard market out there. Yes, a lot of people are in a recession. Yes, interest rates are high. Yes, there's a lot of turmoil around the planet. But again, if you look at this, a Tesla salesperson said that if a customer wants to buy the new Model Y today, they'll have to wait until the middle of the year to get one. Demand is insane. There is a 6-month waiting list for these things. Pre-orders in China alone are 165,000 cars. But demand is dead. And you know who sees through all this fake FUD news and everything else? Who's real? Ray Dalio. And he's a legend, a big fan of his work, read all his materials. He understands, one of the few fellows that understands both macro and technology, but he buys a $62 million bag of Tesla after watching Cyber Bulls yesterday. Kidding, no. He got into his position a few days before that, I think, a few weeks before that. But for Ray to come in is great news and stuff. He sees something happening. And he's 75 years of age, rarely sets a foot wrong. The guy is a legend. Also runs the biggest hedge fund on the planet. So what did they know? We'll see. Better late than never. And he also bought another stock too called C. The ticker is SE. The name is SEA. And it's one of the two Asia plays, I should say, because they're based in Singapore, that I have. But we were in since the 40s, early 40s or late 30s, if I recall. We got in late 2024, early 2024 or late 2023, been in a little over a year. But this puppy just goes up and up and up. I'm pleased to see it, and I still hold it. I'll tell you about the other China play in a minute too. But back to Tesla for a second. I did share this in Cyberbulls yesterday, and it's now known that the government is reportedly planning to buy $400 million worth of armored Tesla vehicles. And people say, oh, demand for the Cybertruck has softened. Yeah, well, that just fixed that little problem. Anyhow, history lesson. Another cool, going back in time. And this is why when things are fudded to death, when you have a good asset, okay, and everybody hates it or the person or the space or whatever it is. I'll take you back to this moment in time. A little bit of history, which is wonderful, from Tesla Economics. I think it was September 2018. Elon touched a cigarette smoke of some type, maybe something, I don't know, contraband, on Joe Rogan's podcast in California, where it was legal. And the next day, Tesla stock fell 11%. Media had a field day, and the stock is $17.49. Let's guess who runs into the burning building at that price? You know, people like me. Again, this is the advantage of FUD and lies. It brings about buying opportunities. So always find the signal in the noise. And remember, 90% of stuff out there is noise. People do not have your back. They do not have or care about you. They care about their own program. Now, let's get back. I did say we'll come back to volatility. This is a VIX lesson. VIX is what I refer to as volatility, coming from the volatility index. But this is a cool chart from Nick at Econometrics. Tesla and Nvidia are now more volatile than Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is not even the most volatile asset. And you can see here on the bottom, B-Man, good to see you, buddy. Gold is at the bottom, pretty unvolatile. NASDAQ 100, which is considered a volatile index, is pretty flat. Bitcoin is considered scary volatile. And then Nvidia, up the line, even more volatile than Bitcoin. And then even more volatile than Nvidia is Tesla. Okay. Now, for those top three, Bitcoin, Nvidia, and Tesla, it's no coincidence I own them all and have very heavy positions in them all because, as Michael Saylor says, volatility is vitality. If something isn't volatile, it means people don't want it. So focus on the volatile assets. Speaking of volatility, we got some EDS coming your way. Grok 3 is coming in 1 to 2 weeks, and it's going to be the best AI out there, period. This is a stark statement that Elon made yesterday or the day before, and it'll be exciting to see. And of course, there was a lot of brinkmanship and games and chess and poker with the whole, oh, we want to buy OpenAI for $97 billion. Of course, it's just a game. It's what I call poison pilling. Scam Altman, as Elon refers to him. And he soon will not know what to do. Again, do not fade Elon Musk. I don't care if you hate him. You have to respect what he does. Don't let your biases take control of your bags. And Apple, nobody saw this coming. Apple goes outside for the first time. Normally they build everything internally, with the exception of manufacturing, of course. They design everything internally. But it shows you how far Apple are behind, that they are looking to partner with Baba in Hong Kong and China to help them with their whole AI. And of course, as a result, Baba spikes. Now, again, just like C, we bought Baba at the same time. It was late 2023. And that thing has just gone up and up since then. So that's just the only two Asian plays that I have. And they've both done very well. So I remember actually another thing about biases. People said, don't buy China. China bad. I chase alpha. As long as they don't harm anybody, as long as they don't make missiles or cigarettes, I'm kind of good with it. Or spy on you, then I'm kind of good on it. Anyway, remember as well, Quick scam warning of the day before I wrap. Remember, everybody is hunting you. 4 European hackers were arrested in Thailand. We have one of our developers in Thailand right now, by the way, for deploying ransomware on the networks of 17 Swiss firms. And this attack resulted in the theft of $16 million worth of Bitcoin from over 1,000 global victims. They are going after you fit, fast, and furious. And yes, there might be a couple of young 20-somethings shacked up in an apartment in Thailand. They're coming for your bags. Do not trust anybody. Do not answer your phone unless you recognize the number. Do not click on anything in an email. Remember, they're coming for you, and they're all over the world. And because Bitcoin is now so valuable, the prize is even bigger. So they're coming after you harder. Just remember that. And sorry for harping on this, because every day we hear about somebody who got scammed. Do not let it happen to you. Do not. Speaking of people trying to obfuscate their money, the stuff coming out of DC these days is redonkulous. This is the interest over time, okay, in Washington, D.C. For searches for Swiss banks, yellow. Yep, Swiss bank. Nothing wrong with that. I have one. Offshore bank, green. Wire money, red. IBAN, blue. Everybody all of a sudden in D.C. is trying to find a way, for some reason, I'm not sure, put their money offshore and hide it. Not sure why. Interesting. We'll dig more into the story, perhaps. Unless people have ideas, let me know in the comments below. And tied to this, too, just so I said at the very beginning, don't trust mainstream media. Proof. A reputable brand like Reuters is paid to lie. They've been writing hit pieces on Elon Musk and Tesla since the beginning of time. And it's like, why? I say, what's wrong with these people? Why are they so butthurt? Why are they so salty? Now we know. Reuters was paid millions of dollars by the US government for large-scale social deception. Okay? Do not trust anything from Reuters or mainstream media, okay? They are paid by governments to lie to you. Always seek out truth and truthful sources. People that have no agenda other than to help others. That's the story today. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget to like. Thank you to the mods in the chat. Sorry if that was a bit heated, but Friday Fire is always heated, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I call it Friday Fire. It's when I get up and rant a little bit to you all and warn you about the dangers and the goodness that's out there. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. See you tomorrow. Bye.